We worry about the algorithms spying on our phones, but the true horror is measured in teaspoons. Forget the climate models. Forget the political turmoil you doom scroll through every morning. The real, absolute apocalypse lives compressed into a volume no bigger than your thumbnail. I'm talking about a neutron star, the perfect silent terror of the cosmos, and the ultimate middle finger to human arrogance. Take a single, level spoonful of the stuff they call neutronium. That tiny sample, held right here, right now, would immediately weigh more than Mount Everest, all 29,000 feet of rock, snow, and geological history combined. That is not hyperbole. That is gravity stripped down, raw, and utterly homicidal. We, as a species, are utterly obsessed with tracking manageable local threats, interest rates, disease vectors, traffic congestion. This keeps us busy. This keeps us safe, or at least comfortably distracted in the soft cradle of civilization. We have built an entire global architecture designed to shield us from inconvenience, crafting a digital bubble where pain is optional and truth is whatever resolution we set the screen to. But the density of that spoonful reveals the lie of safety. It proves that we are playing a children's game on a galactic pool table where the most fundamental forces, gravity and time, are waiting for their final shot. If you dropped that teaspoon of neutron star matter onto the Earth, it would not merely make a crater. It wouldn't just cause a devastating impact. The pressure, the sheer unholy weight of that tiny object, would initiate a catastrophic chain reaction that defies imagination. It would tunnel straight through the planet's mantle like a white-hot drill bit, leaving behind a perfectly circular gravitational void. We are not talking about melting rock. We are talking about ripping space-time itself in the immediate vicinity of that material. It's too heavy. It would oscillate through the core, a billion-ton pendulum swinging back and forth until it settled in the center, heating up the Earth's core until our magnetic field collapsed, vaporizing the surface in a spectacular, silent finale. Goodbye, comfort. The existence of a neutron star means gravity has won. Completely. We talk about the strength of steel, the power of fusion, the ingenuity of silicon chips. These are small battles. The neutron star is the outcome of the ultimate war between matter and the void. It starts when a massive star, 20 times bigger than our own sun, exhausts its fuel. The nuclear furnace fails. There is no longer the outward pressure of fusion to hold the monstrous mass apart, and the star collapses under its own weight in milliseconds. It implodes so violently that the very structure of the atom is shattered. Protons and electrons are squeezed together, forced into non-existence, creating a homogeneous, perfect ocean of neutrons. This is the ultimate state of compaction. Nothing resists. No empty space remains. You think you understand density because you've picked up a brick. You don't. This star, sometimes only 10 miles across, the size of a small metropolitan area, can spin 700 times a second and still contain twice the mass of the sun. Consider the forces necessary to compress something that large into something that tiny. It is a perfect, terrifying sphere, smoother than any billiard ball ever manufactured by man, because if there were any mountains, even ones just a few inches tall, the gravity on the surface would instantly flatten them, liquefying and distributing the material evenly. Everything is crushed. Everything is smooth. This density, this raw, perfect terror, is the truth hidden behind our modern illusion of control. We are trained to fear the visible chains, the debt, the regulations, the physical barriers. The invisible ones, the true mechanics of collapse, the density of absolute truth, those are what matter. We are studying the shadows on the cave wall, while the ceiling is made of this impossible material. If you are tired of comfort and crave the unsettling, deep mechanisms of the world, if you value understanding the crushing realities over the convenient fictions, then you know exactly where you need to be. The surface of this star is the closest you can get to standing on a massive atomic nucleus. Below the crust, physicists theorize the existence of nuclear pasta, a horrifying state where matter is stretched, warped, and squeezed into layers, tubes, and sheets by incomprehensible pressure. Imagine matter not just smashed, but stretched and tangled into structures we can only describe using culinary metaphors because the actual physics defies easy visualization. This matter is so stiff, so incredibly difficult to deform, that a single seismic tremor on a neutron star could generate a starquake more powerful than anything our sun has ever produced, warping the magnetic field and throwing immense flares of energy across the galaxy. We are talking about cosmic resilience on a scale that makes granite look like cotton candy. But here is where the trap gets truly sinister. Our technological progress relies on complexity, on fragility, on the delicate organization of particles to achieve computation and communication. Our entire empire is built on harnessing the weak forces: electricity, chemistry, light. We pride ourselves on manipulating the empty space inside the atom, the vast distance between the nucleus and the orbiting electrons. A neutron star laughs at that premise. It has eliminated the empty space. It is pure neutron soup, and its reality is a cold, definitive verdict on our technological vanity. We are not masters of the universe. We are soft biological systems, entirely dependent on our star remaining predictable and entirely insulated from the true weight of the elements. We look up at the night sky and see twinkling diamonds. That is a comforting lie. What we should see are vast, unseen gravitational knives waiting to cut through the thin veil of our atmosphere and our temporary technological shelter. But here is where the trap gets truly sinister. Gravity wins, always. You calculate the force needed to peel a single proton off the surface of a neutron star, and the number becomes a mocking symbol of human limitation, utterly destroying the foundational mechanics of our most powerful fusion reactors, revealing just how flimsy our physics truly is when tested against the ultimate compression of mass. Try to comprehend this density. If you could somehow bring a sugar cube of neutron star material back to Earth, which, spoiler alert, you cannot, because the second you remove the stabilizing pressure it would instantly vaporize in a detonation of catastrophic scale, that single sugar cube would weigh more than every car, truck, and train ever built by humanity combined. We deal in pounds and kilograms, in Newton's gentle laws of terrestrial physics. They deal in solar masses squeezed into Manhattan. This object, this relic of stellar suicide, is the cosmological counterpoint to our fragile Silicon Age. It proves that the universe does not care about computation, only about crushing efficiency. You, watching this right now, worry about your retirement fund or the traffic on the highway? Your entire reality is defined by the four weak forces that allow your body to hold shape and your phone to function. A neutron star laughs at the weak forces. It is the victory of the strong force, the force that binds the nucleus, operating on a scale so grand it dictates the shape of space-time itself, carving out gravitational trenches that nothing, not light, not radio waves, not even our desperate hope, can escape once crossed. And these things spin. They spin impossibly fast. Some neutron stars rotate faster than the blade of a kitchen blender, making hundreds of revolutions per second, defying every intuitive sense of scale, stability, and inertia. This rotation, coupled with the insane magnetic field, 1 trillion times stronger than Earth's, turns the star into a lighthouse of death, shooting beams of energy across the void. We call them pulsars. They are cosmic metronomes, ticking off the terrifying regularity of ultimate destruction. They do not merely exist. They enforce a relentless, agonizing order on the galaxy, reminding everyone, everything, that some physics cannot be negotiated. Now, if you are still here, digesting the weight of that sugar cube, feeling the irrational pull of that impossible density, realizing that everything you learned in high school physics was merely the kindergarten version of the truth, then you understand the true value of relentless inquiry. If you crave the raw physics of existence, if you prefer the cold, hard mechanics of the universe over the convenient, soft bedtime stories, then you need to commit to this path now. This is where the truth lives. But the real trick is the geometry. Our civilization is linear. Our logic is Cartesian. We build squares and lines and predictable paths. The neutron star is pure spherical geometry, but its internal architecture is chaos refined by pressure. That nuclear pasta? It is not just dense, it is a crystal lattice of broken atoms, forcing particles into configurations that maximize stability under conditions that should annihilate all structure. We look for complexity in the neural networks of our AI. That is a joke. True, irreducible complexity is found in the shell of a dead star, where matter itself fights back against obliteration, bending the rules of the strong force into terrifying new shapes. The internal mechanism, the core, remains the ultimate mystery. Is it still neutron soup? Or has the pressure become so complete that the individual neutrons themselves have dissolved, their constituent quarks set free into a true primordial soup? Quark matter. A state so exotic, so powerful, that its existence would fundamentally rewrite the final chapters of cosmology. And if they do contain quark matter, then the neutron star is not just a remnant. It is a time capsule containing the conditions of the first microsecond after the Big Bang, condensed and weaponized. Think about that for a second. We chase particle physics in massive, expensive terrestrial colliders, smashing atoms together, hoping to glimpse fundamental reality. The universe performs the experiment for free, 1,000 miles wide, and we merely stare, powerless, at the results. This is the ultimate confrontation with the limits of control. We fetishize predictive models. We believe that given enough data and enough computing power, we can simulate anything, anticipate anything. We cannot predict a starquake because we cannot truly simulate that deep, terrifying stiffness of nuclear pasta. We cannot model the exact transition point to quark matter because our terrestrial physics breaks down entirely when the variable is infinite pressure. We build fragile space probes and whisper into the void, assuming our signals will be heard, that our presence matters. But the moment any one of these gravitational tyrants decides to hiccup, to flare, to align its terrifying jet streams just so, our whispers turn to ash. We are not explorers of the cosmos. We are simply guests in a very small, very predictable solar neighborhood, entirely unaware of the giants walking or spinning just beyond the street lights. We have fooled ourselves into thinking technology provides security. It doesn't. Technology provides comfort. Security comes from understanding the true mechanisms of the universe, and the first mechanism is this. Everything heavy, everything dense, everything compressed, always wins against the light, the fluffy, and the distributed. Our technological stack is distributed. Our life is light. We are playing a game built on probabilities, but the neutron star plays a game built on certainties. It is the definition of cosmic finality. You talk about density. You nod. You cannot grasp it. 1 teaspoon weighs 2 billion tons. If you dropped an entire continent onto the surface of a neutron star, the impact would barely ripple the ocean of compressed neutrons beneath. It spins 1,000 times a second. That is faster than your brain registers a thought. The rotation warps space-time itself into a dizzying carousel of gravitational hell. Your wristwatch on the surface would tick slower than your blood in your veins. That is the cost of absolute compression. That is what happens when matter sheds its pleasant, fluffy atomic shells and decides to become fundamentally honest. This star isn't just heavy. It's an active, ongoing failure of the strong nuclear force to resist the finality of gravity. It is the physical manifestation of the universe saying, enough. Here is the truth. Most people consume information like fast food. They want the headline, the immediate gratification, the palatable lie. They do not want to sit in the uncomfortable reality of what we just discussed, the terrifying, cold mathematics of extreme astrophysics. If you are still here, listening, wrestling with the implications of nuclear pasta and condensed Big Bang conditions, then you are built differently. You value the heavy, dense, compressed knowledge over the light, fluffy noise of the daily grind. You belong here, and you should join the serious pursuit of understanding what truly runs this terrifying cosmos. Don't miss the next seismic shift in our shared reality. Now, let's look at the worst-case scenario. It gets worse than gravity. Way worse. Gravity is the engine. The magnetic field is the weapon. Most neutron stars carry incomprehensible magnetic fields, but a special subset, the true cosmic nightmare fuel, are the magnetars. Their fields aren't just powerful, they are apocalyptic. We talk about Gauss, we talk about Tesla. These fields are quadrillion times stronger than the Earth's. They are so strong that if you brought a magnetar within 100,000 miles of Earth, every credit card would be erased. Every hard drive would be scrubbed clean. Every atom in your body, every chemical bond would start screaming as the field violently reshaped its electrons. Forget nuclear war. The slow drift of a magnetar is enough to render our entire civilization instantly sterile, technologically vaporized, leaving us as stunned, pre-industrial ghosts watching the sky. Talvez você ache loucura, but that is the only difference between a run-of-the-mill neutron star and a magnetar. A slight, imperceptible twist in its internal dynamo, converting unimaginable rotational energy into an even more unimaginable magnetic field. And when a starquake hits that magnetar, when the crust cracks because the core is settling into its final, dense form, the magnetar experiences a flare. A soft gamma repeater burst. It's not just light, it's a literal bubble of space-time distortion powered by a magnetic field that would rip apart the fabric of reality itself if it were any closer. This burst, even from 50,000 light-years away, can hit Earth's atmosphere, ionize it, disrupt radio communications for weeks, and give our fragile satellites a fatal dose of radiation. Think about that for a moment. An event that happened tens of thousands of years ago, traveling through the vast nothingness of space, still retains enough focused, destructive power to slap the face of a civilization obsessed with its own digital safety. We live our lives pretending the vacuum is empty. It's not. It's charged. It's waiting. We calculate the probability of existential threats. Asteroid impact, artificial intelligence, we budget for those. We completely neglect the inherent, unavoidable physics of the densest objects in the galaxy. We treat the cosmos like a tranquil backdrop, a silent stage for human drama. It is not a backdrop. It is a hostile, active arena, and we are just standing in the path of a focused electromagnetic wave that has traveled further than most people can mentally comprehend, and which only needs the slightest alignment shift to end our technological age. Not with a bang, but with a silent, invisible erasure of every byte of data we ever created. And the crowning insult? We cannot stop it. We cannot deflect it. We cannot even accurately predict the arrival of the next great burst. We just wait. We build our particle colliders, hoping to unlock the secrets of the atom, blissfully ignoring the massive natural laboratories spinning thousands of times a second just above our heads, performing the ultimate fatal experiment. Neutron stars are not astronomical curiosities. They are the universal mechanism for maintaining order through mass. They are the cosmic tax collector, ensuring that nothing that gets too heavy, too fast, or too close ever escapes the ultimate consequence of gravity. The final verdict is unavoidable. Density is destiny. We love our algorithms. We trust our screens. This digital confidence is not a sign of progress. It is our biggest vulnerability. It is the cage we built around ourselves, padded with convenience and lined with pure, unadulterated denial. We truly believe we have conquered uncertainty because we can predict the stock market or sequence a genome. Small thinking, tiny victories that only matter within the arbitrary borders of our own technological ecosystem. Up there, above the flimsy glass ceiling of our atmosphere, none of our models matter. The neutron star does not care about your quarterly earnings report. It does not pause for your Twitter drama. It is simply executing the foundational laws of physics, a billion-year-old mandate to achieve maximum density. The cosmic event is scheduled. The clock is running. Our entire definition of safe is statistically local, optimized for threats that scale easily. Pandemics, wars, economic crashes, these are human problems, manageable because they respect rules, even if those rules are brutal. Cosmic threats, they play a different game entirely. They operate on scales of mass and time that shatter our pathetic linear understanding of causality. We are so busy staring at the mirror, obsessing over the internal noise of human politics and manufactured drama, that we have forgotten the universe is playing classical music at volume 10,000. You scrolling through this on your phone right now? That device, that lifeline, is the perfect, fragile symbol of our delusion. It relies entirely on a stable ionosphere, a highly regulated upper atmosphere that protects our signals and GPS. One focused burst, gone. Instant obsolescence. When the lights go out and the internet refuses to handshake, will we blame a sun flare? Or will we immediately assume a cyber attack by a rival nation? We always look for the human culprit. We seek the human fault. Why? Because the idea that the universe simply doesn't care is terrifyingly final. We cannot control it. We cannot negotiate with it. We cannot even yell at it. This technological bubble we inhabit grants us instant communication across continents, but it simultaneously blinds us to the macro mechanics governing our planet's existence. We look down. We calculate the near-term risk. We completely ignore the slow, grinding inevitability of cosmic mechanics, believing somehow that because we found electricity, we have immunity. We don't. The ultimate dark irony is this. We conquered the immediate environment. We built skyscrapers. We flew to the moon. But we never escaped the gravity well of our own limited, immediate perspective. The true cost of the digital age is not privacy, it's awareness. We have traded reality for comfort, and the universe is about to send us the bill for decades of outstanding cosmic debt. This debt is settled only through total systemic collapse. It's coming. Always coming. The question is not if we will be struck, but how far up we have climbed when the ladder finally vanishes. We are already playing cosmic Russian roulette with a sun that does not care about our quarterly earnings reports. We were inches from utter disaster just over a decade ago. Think about July 2012. You probably missed it entirely. Everyone did. The world was too busy memeing or debating some political scandal. While we squabbled, a solar superstorm, a massive coronal mass ejection, ripped through the void. It was colossal. An X-class flare that would have sent us back to the Stone Age, minus the rocks, plus the lingering infrastructure shame. That celestial punch missed Earth by 9 days. 9 measly days. If the planet had been a little further along its orbit, if the timing had been slightly different, we wouldn't be talking about who hacked whom. We would be talking about the year zero, total blackout, instant and global. Imagine the scale of that silence. Transformer farms across North America and Europe would have simply vaporized under the induced current spike. Not power outage blackout, but burn the copper off the grid permanently blackout. Months, maybe years, without reliable electricity. Forget your self-driving cars. Forget your bank accounts. Forget ordering food delivery. The intricate dance of logistics that feeds 7 billion people relies on GPS timing, which relies on satellites, which rely on the fragile magnetic field we so blithely assume will always hold steady. That field shimmers. It falters. It has been tested. If you refuse to accept the comforting lie, if you want the truth laid bare without the soft edges of corporate media spin, you belong here. We only talk about preparedness in the language of human conflict. Tanks, bombs, cyber firewalls. Why? Because we can control the narrative of human conflict. We can build a budget around it. But how do you budget for cosmic fate? You don't. You ignore it. You pray to the gods of averages that the next devastating burst won't hit your shift. That is not strategy. That is suicidal negligence masquerading as optimization. Our leaders know this risk. They have the papers. They hold the briefings. The scientific consensus is ironclad. It is a matter of when, not if, a Carrington-level or worse event will strike. So why are the global power grids still so vulnerable? The answer is soul-crushingly simple: cost. Hardening the electrical infrastructure, replacing vulnerable transformers, installing massive backup surge protectors, burying critical lines is prohibitively expensive. Nobody gets elected promising $1 trillion subterranean transformer bunker program. It doesn't generate clicks. It doesn't fill campaign coffers. It is a long-term, unsexy project protecting against an invisible enemy that works on a timescale far longer than the average politician's tenure. Our civilization has prioritized the immediate profit margin over existential resilience. We outsourced our survival to optimism. We built the most intricate, interdependent clockwork system in history, a global economy running on milliseconds and electrons, but we housed it in a straw hut. Pathetic. The ultimate dark joke is that the very technology that allowed us to communicate the warning is the primary target of the threat. We use fiber optic cables, which are theoretically immune to electromagnetic pulse effects, yes. But those cables require power. They require repeater stations. They require cooling systems, all running on the fragile exposed grid. One domino falls, the rest follow instantly. It is a chain reaction built on pure hubris. We believe that because we developed the ability to model the crisis, we have somehow neutralized the crisis itself. That is the delusion of the modern man. Modeling a tsunami does not stop the water. It just tells you how screwed you are moments before impact. The universe does not grade on a curve. It delivers its reckoning based on physics, and physics dictates that fragility, once identified, will eventually be exploited. The great cosmic hammer is swinging, and we are just waiting under the anvil, arguing about the color of the hammer. We failed the awareness test. Now, we wait for the final exam. We traded depth for bandwidth. We wanted everything now, instantly, flawlessly, without interruption. And we told ourselves this vulnerability was merely a necessary cost of progress. That is the lie we bought. It's not just a grid failure, it's the instant annihilation of context. When the power goes down, the entire edifice of specialized knowledge collapses into uselessness. Your degree in quantum finance? Meaningless? Your $1 million smart home? A tomb. You cannot Google your way back to civilization. That information is now locked behind glass screens that refuse to light up, preserved on servers that are nothing but cold metal blocks. The reality is that the modern technological society is the most luxurious, intricate suicide pact ever engineered. We willingly placed the throat of the world directly onto the cosmic razor wire, then dared the sun to scratch it. We did this because convenience, comfort, and quarterly earnings mattered more than the survival of the species 5 decades from now. This is the ultimate indictment of our era. We designed a system so fragile that its greatest enemy is simply a slightly grumpy star 93 million miles away. This dependency, this absolute total reliance on the uninterrupted flow of cheap electricity is not freedom, it is the cage. You've been living in a beautifully designed, climate-controlled prison where the bars are invisible radio waves and the guards are your own digital cravings. When the event comes, it won't be the fiery chaos of a movie. It will be the sudden, profound silence. That silence, that absolute lack of electronic hum, will be the sound of 7 billion people simultaneously realizing they forgot how to be human. They forgot how to be independent. They forgot how to survive without the illuminated rectangle telling them what to do next. The verdict is final. We lost the right to the comforts we claim. We knew the risk. We chose the profit. Now we wait for the dark. And in that eventual blackness, we will finally learn the true price of instant gratification. The cage door isn't locked, it's just electric, and the switch is out of our hands. We called this achievement. We built heaven, then promptly forgot the foundational rule of thermodynamics. Nothing lasts forever. Our belief in perpetual electronic safety wasn't confidence, it was pathological denial. The truth, the brutal truth we refuse to fund or acknowledge, is that technology isn't a shield against chaos. It's an amplifier of fragility. The more intricate the network, the faster the collapse. It's leverage, leveraged against us. We engineered the perfect trap for ourselves, a world where the ability to call an Uber is valued infinitely higher than the ability to purify water, where knowing how to code a trading algorithm is preferred over knowing how to plant a seed. This is not progress. This is optimized helplessness. When that magnetic storm finally shears through our satellite layers and liquefies our transformers, the verdict will be delivered swiftly, justly, and silently. The modern era failed its most basic mandate to ensure continuity. We prioritized quarterly profit statements over civilizational resilience. We built glass houses and invited the hail. We created the most privileged generation in history, a generation uniquely, spectacularly unprepared for reality. This specialized world, this shining, interconnected wonder, collapses because it requires too many perfect inputs. It requires cheap energy. It requires geopolitical stability. It requires the sun to behave itself. It requires, above all, the complete suspension of entropy. None of those requirements are sustainable. None of them are guaranteed. The system we worshipped is not robust. It is brittle. It shatters, and when it shatters, the vast, complex library of human knowledge, our physics, our philosophy, our art, will instantly revert to inert paperweights locked behind walls of unpowered light. Think about that. The cumulative wisdom of mankind rendered useless by a lack of voltage. That is the price of total integration. We chose comfort over competence. We chose ease over independence. We chose the cage. We earned the dark. And in that coming silence, when the coal finally descends and the digital screens stay forever black, the ultimate horrifying lesson will finally sink in. The key to survival wasn't stored on the cloud. It was always stored in the dirt. Go learn how to use it. Go learn how to use it. This specialized world has spent 3 generations deleting the necessary memory of physical reality. We engineered a civilization so delicate that its failure state isn't a slow decline. It is instant, systemic shock. The illusion was that we had beaten scarcity. We didn't beat it. We just centralized it, bottlenecking every essential input from the processor chip to the calories on your plate. We bet the farm on perpetually perfect logistics. That was the wager, and the house always wins. When the integrated ecosystem fails, it doesn't leave scraps. It leaves a void. Our brilliance became our undoing, binding us so tightly that the shock in one sector guarantees the paralysis of all others. You think your PhD in theoretical physics will keep you warm? It won't even buy you a matchstick. We are about to rediscover, with terrifying speed, that the highest forms of human thought are worthless when the lowest forms of human need, water, warmth, food, go unmet. The verdict is this. We built the future we deserved, a world that demands effortless perfection from an imperfect species in an unpredictable universe. We priced out resilience. We chose the cage of convenience. Now we must live with the silence of that choice. The greatest tool we ever invented was the mirror, yet we never looked close enough at the reflection it provided. We confused complexity with strength. That was the central error. We mistook dependencies for interconnectedness, ensuring that when the weakest link snaps, everything shatters instantly. Civilization is not measured by its highest achievement, but by its simplest safety net. Ours has none. We are the most knowledgeable generation in history, yet arguably the least competent. We can model the Big Bang, but we cannot filter water without plastic tubing and chemical purification plants. We engineered a civilization that collapses into helplessness the moment the grid blinks. The final truth is this. The only real innovation we ever needed was self-sufficiency. We outsourced our survival. Now the check is due.